Howdy, this is a spoiler-free review of Red Dead Redemption 2. So some of my opening thoughts about the game is, this game just felt more organic than any other game that I have had the pleasure of playing. The game felt like a world that was alive and breathing, and the interactions that you have with NPCs felt more casual and realistic rather than scripted. By the time I beat the game, I feel like I had been through an experience of a long journey. Anyways, let's get into the review. Alrighty, so starting off this review, we will get into the combat. So the combat it's pretty much a shooter. It's mainly a third person shooter, but you do have the ability to go into first person as well. There is a Deadeye mechanic that makes the game easier to play, while also being more satisfying. I think it would be rather frustrating to shoot opponents' heads off from long distances without this mechanic, and it's the same thing, if a wolf is chasing you and you need to shoot their head while they're like quickly moving in situations like that. I think the Deadeye mechanic is quite nice for things like this, and the combat is further elevated by how organic the game is. You can shoot an enemy in the chest and they'll bleed out over time, or you can shoot them in the leg and they won't be able to walk anymore. The whole body is like this. I think a lot of the animals are like this as well. So moving on to the story, I have to say that this game is a cinematic masterpiece. When the credits finally rolled for me in my over 80-hour playthrough, I felt like I had been through an experience rather than just played a game. You will follow the characters through snowy mountains to gator-infested swamps, green forests, and more. The game has good pacing throughout, although some might find the start a bit slow. I want to stress that the game is worth getting through, even if you do find the start a bit slow. You are with a group of cowboy gunslingers that are not willing to change accordingly to the more civilized times. Your leader Dutch has a grand plan of stealing a bunch of money and escaping to a paradise-like tropical island where they can live the rest of their days in peace. However, the law is slowly closing in on you and your group, and the tension is constantly rising. You will go through many grand heists in a true Rockstar type way throughout this game. There's rival gangs, bank heists, gun showdowns, escape missions, and more. The story was deep, rich, and action-packed, with one chapter nearly having me in tears. Alrighty, so for the characters, you have Dutch, who always has a grand plan and is the leader of the group. Sadie, who is a strong female character that can put any man in his place, but has a heart of gold. Charles, who is strong, independent, and always looking out for others. You also have some questionable characters like Micah, who has a tendency to kill too much, and Leopold Strauss, who is an intellectual, always collecting debts from people around the game world, and many more. The characters in this game are very well thought out, and once again, organic in a sense. Okay, so moving on to the graphics. This game came out in 2018, so it has been a while, but how does it stack up compared to, today's game graphics? And I will have to say that I haven't played a ton of games, but I have played a fair few, and this is easily the prettiest game that I have played. The textures are top tier, but I think they are starting to show their age slightly, and I do mean slightly. So I feel it's worth mentioning that I did play this game on a fairly decked out PC on ultra settings, but what I think this game does better than any other game is the atmosphere. The lighting, fog, clouds, stars, the foliage, the game sounds, everything comes together and there's a ton of attention to detail. The world just feels more alive and real than any other game I have played. Seriously, videos do not do this game justice. It's also worth noting, if you turn down the graphics from Ultra to High, you can play this game at a comfortable 30 FPS on the Steam Deck. I set the wattage to 15 for anyone that is interested. Also, if this is what Rockstar was able to produce in 2018, I can't imagine how detailed GTA 6 will be. The soundtrack of this game I found to be almost purely complementary to the gameplay, with a few exceptions where they will play an actual song. However, they usually left this to important, meaningful moments. Overall, the soundtrack does what it needs to, where it needs to. Overall, the game was just phenomenal. I cannot recommend the game enough. While it isn't exactly the type of game that is my personal preference, I did thoroughly enjoy my time spent in the game and give it a wholehearted recommendation. Thank you for watching the video. See y'all.